report, but they said it was like 100 and what 120 spots to fill out. And I don't know about you guys, but some of my investors don't fill out sellers disclosures, and they don't like to fill out documents and aren't the best about any of that stuff. So I think that would be a concern, or at least a question to ask if we were on the sale side, getting a cash offer from that, just to float that by the buyer's agent, just to make sure that they're aware that they're going to have to fill that out. Shouldn't be a big deal, but sometimes those are bigger deal than they make it.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a big deal, but early on, you watch, there'll be a bunch of delayed deals because of it.
Yeah.
Just people not paying attention. I think if you're working with a buyer, you're more apt to probably be aware that, hey, these people are buying in an LLC, paying cash. But I think some of our listing agents will get these offers and not put two and two together, realizing that they're assuming that the agent on the other end understands FinCEN, which is probably not a good assumption. And then secondly, they'll have to also understand that there'll be some accountability for their seller client in doing business with that type of buyer. None of it should be a big deal, because in a way, it's like, if as long as you're not committing fraud, it's just a bunch of paperwork, right?
Right.
I'm anxious to see the form. Didn't he say he was going to get that to us here in the next week?
It's
Oh.
actually in the chat. It's been posted on Facebook for a couple days in a couple different places. So It's in the chat though right now.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
It doesn't look too scary. It's got several tabs, but normal stuff.
Yeah, my thoughts are, it sounds like this is going to become standard operating procedure. So if you want to sell your homes to an investor, you need to, or you are an investor, you just got to get used to the process. So other than that, get out of the game so there's more houses for me to buy.
Yeah, I feel like something like this, we could create some sort of template, especially for like our own LLCs or our investors that buy a lot of properties, create almost like a template like this, where it feels like, so they don't have to fill in their address every time, all that stuff every single time, and then send it over to them with the new address of what they're buying and things like that. But I haven't looked at this form too.
Might ask Darren about that, Jake. It might be like the seller's disclosure, don't touch it type of thing. Liability wise, that might be a concern we do ask Darren about, just because that's a pretty important document, it looks like.
Yeah.
Good call on that.
It is in PDF form on here and on their website. I mean, you could have your sellers, so if you have those that you're working with regularly, or your buyers that are, those buyers, have them save it. Then it's not on you. Have them save it in their files as like template, and then open it and save as a copy with the new info.
Way too much sense.
That's way too easy.
Sometimes.
These are the same guys that can't open up the dot loop.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you fill that out for me? No.
I do agree with Brian on, we leave it alone. They're just going to have to learn it. This is the federal government telling these people that they have to do these things. They'll have to adapt. And I think this will be pretty rare. We adapted to the lawsuit back in 24, and we adapted really fast. I know we had lots of good training that a lot of agents didn't have, but I don't think most of us are going to have to deal with this very much. And, those buyers are just going to have to adjust and understand that it's not our decision. It's coming down from Washington.
Does the form, I didn't see the whole training, but does the form go to, do we just have them fill it out? Like Ashley was saying, if it's a PDF, because it looks like a live, fillable drop down, but if they
actually title.
Is that what I said? Yeah. Does it go to the title company, and is there any sort of does it go anywhere when they're filling out on that website, or does it just then become a form that they save and
or does title generate it? Is it generated through title?
My understanding,
sure they know that they have to fill it out.
Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, because I've been out of the loop for about a month, but my title guy had told me about it at the end of October, and he basically, he said it's going to be a nightmare. And if you got an LLC, but odds of it happening are, it's not going to happen unless you're dealing with those types of clients on the regular basis, which I don't. And that my understanding, and I could be wrong, because like I said, I've been out of the loop for a month, but my understanding was that it's a title form. And so title will initiate the form and we'll be getting it from your clients. We just need to make sure we understand the importance of the form and that people just can't blow it off.
Yeah, they won't close without it.
Yeah.
I
But
feel like
that makes sense. We're not responsible for getting it to them. Title will do that, but we just need to follow up that they actually do it.
Well, I mean, or they won't close.
Right, right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I
just
highly
like
recommend
anything else.
printing it, reading it.
Yeah.
There's Lonnie with his paper again.
dinosaurs.
Old school works.
I did the same thing in October when my title guy told me about it. Just
Yeah,
so I
it
was
was supposed to
familiar
go
with
live
it.
in the fourth quarter, and then they just pushed it back because they were getting all kinds of pushback. So
Right.
we know this has been coming for a long time. It's so few people that it will affect, but the ones that it does, we've got a guy that buys who's based out of the Middle East. Basically, he doesn't buy a lot, but he's cash and all that. I think his money's legit, but this will be sent to him ahead of time.
You'll find out.
This is the standard going forward.
Yeah.
So we'll find out if he still wants to buy.
Lonnie sales are going to tank this year. All his clients are-
Does like one or two. So we're good.
Just add that question to your questionnaire, Lonnie.
Right.
That's going to knock him out of the top tier of the Christmas tree pyramid.
Yeah.
We're kind of talking about it. Has anybody heard about that executive order? I had some people text me about this yesterday, talking about the Trump executive order to ban large companies and corporations from buying single family homes. I know it's not a law yet, but it seems like more people are talking about it.
Yeah, there's some good stuff out there on that. I can't remember which one I was looking at. If I find it, I'll put it out on our page. But I read it took me about 30 minutes to read it. It was pretty in depth, but it just talks about the history of how we got here with that and how the institutional buyers have become large purchasers of single family homes. And, we've seen that here. Now, not all markets, in Newport Beach, California, they don't buy houses, right? It doesn't work. But in affordable areas, they're big buyers and have been the dominant buyer for a while. I mean, there was a time if you had a buyer looking at a 250 to 350 in Raymore, Missouri, they were likely up against institutional buyer or buyers, right? Good on the listing side, kind of. You knew you were probably going to get bid. There for a while, that guy with Platinum, I can't remember his name, good dude, but he just represented one client, and he's like, what's it going to take? And they're probably just going to outbid everybody and their cash. So Noel Slabonsky or something like that. But yes, but the compression, the reality is that created less. Not only were they driving up prices a little with that demand, but then our people were left with the other houses to buy. And so they had less to pick from. They weren't getting their ideal selection. So there's a lot of things to consider on how that has moved our market. Should these guys now decide to become sellers, they can move the market the other way. And we have a few of them slowly liquidating now in the Raymore market. You'll see, and Belton too, Peculiar. Nate's working with one of them. But they're slowly thinning out their portfolio of those kind of houses and taking some money off the table, for whatever reasons. But the other thing I think, it's easy for everybody. I saw these agents wanting to get ahead of this and post it on social media and how great this is. I think the one thing to keep in mind, what's kept us afloat in the last 3 years and what's been a 3-year real estate recession is price appreciation. We get paid on volume. And Ryan's $300,000 house he sold 5 years ago might be a $400,000 house today. And since we get paid on volume, so honestly, our industry's come along for the ride. And so I think I saw people, Kalina and different people that always try to be first at everything. And I'm like, they're missing a big point of, as you pat yourself on the back for doing 2 million in volume, understand how those volume numbers got where they are. And yet those of us that own a lot of investment properties and things like that, and we've seen our net worth grow on paper just because of real estate appreciation, modest appreciation. Honestly, these institutional buyers help fuel that a little bit. So before you say they're knuckleheads, understand they've had a huge influence on your world in many cases.
Yeah, I had somebody ask me if it was going to depreciate their house value at all. I figured this is Jake's guess, but I think it'd just slow the appreciation if rates come down at the same time that these big investors and from what I was reading, it was like people that own like 50 to 100 houses or more, not like us that own 2 or 3 or whatever it is. I just figured it would, as the rates come down, the appreciation won't just shoot up as high as it did back in like 2020, 2021. That was my understanding. What are you guys' thoughts on that? They're like, should we sell now? Because our house is worth 300.
Yes.
We got to be 280.
Yes. Tell me yes.
Well,
Upgrade, yeah.
that was not good advice. Everything in their house is going to take a $20,000 hit in the next year.
I don't want you to interpret what you're talking about. Like in 2008, the market was flooded with foreclosures, and that created very much a buyer's market, right? And I don't think these institutional investors are going to flood the market with new listings. That they're not going to. Their investors won't allow them to take those types of hits. So
they're going to get their price.
What's that?
They're going to get their price when they're selling it. Obviously, they're in a huge equity position already, but they're going to get their price, so they're not going to sell it. But they know what they can get in this market, and it's their numbers. So they're just going to do with that.
You know, at the end of the day, it's not going to be the flood, right? It might increase a little bit of the volume of sales, but like, you know, what caused the foreclosures and the 08 crash is what caused the market to just be over. You know, have too much inventory, and but that's not what's going to happen here.
These aren't distressed.
Definitely not.
Thinking more on the purchase side of if I have a buyer, they're not going to have to pay 50 grand over asking anymore. I think that's the biggest benefit.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice to have a more balanced market in that entry-level house range? And most of the stuff they own in Kansas City is more along those lines. You know, I would say 250 to 350, 400K. That's probably more their sweet spot. So some price ranges aren't even affected by this. But wouldn't it be nice for people just had more good houses to pick from?
That you can do inspections on.
Yeah, they're doing some, and likely have been maintained pretty well, if I had my guess.
Cool. All right. I got a couple more points here. What was, if anybody wants to volunteer, what was the best change that you made in 2025 that directly impacted your business? You can like track it, something specific, not like I made more calls. Well, how many more calls did you make? Why did you do it? What was the system you set up? Something specific you did in 2025 that helped grow your business.
Dynamite.
You guys come into the office every day? I hear that help.
That speaks volumes. I think honestly, Jake, most of us lack systems. I know Brandy and I were just talking about this the other day and how we really need to have more systems in place for time blocking, lead generation, that sort of thing versus just kind of winging it. Winging it has worked pretty good for most of us, but at the end of the day, eventually that gets exposed. So, but just by the response to your question tells me there's very little systems in place.
Go ahead. This one's probably an easier question. What's a mistake you made in 2025 that we can avoid that you don't mind sharing with the group? I'll give you an easy one. My mistake is always thinking that other agents are trained like we are. I'm like, oh yeah, I just assume that they know that because everybody in our office knows that, which is not the case. So I make that quite often.
Yeah, and it's tough to figure out to kind of pry questions out of an agent without seeming condescending. And I know sometimes I'm accused of that, but it's just I want to know, do they understand what they're doing? Who am I getting in business with here? And at first they always put on the act that they're experienced and all that, and then quickly you realize they don't know what the hell they're doing. But yeah, our industry's on a scale 1 to 10, we're probably a 5 as far as our people in our industry knowing what the heck they're doing. I'd like to think our people are on the stronger end of that collectively. But yeah, I think the assumption has to be, unless you know the agent, that they probably are not as trained as well as you are.
About anybody else have a mistake that you made that we can benefit from the group or as a group?
Yeah, I made one. I
I'd say
made
one of the
maybe more. But I took my eyes off my numbers for a little bit, and I was just living life, and it was busy with family stuff and everything. But once I put my eyes back on the numbers, I thought, oh my God, where am I? I was way behind. So I had to hurry up and catch up at the end of the year. So don't take your eyes off the numbers, I think.
Yeah, Ryan's gotten on to me about that. He'll come up and say, how many houses have you sold? How much volume have you sold? God, I don't know. He's like, you need to know it at all times.
I think you do
Jake,
better
I'm
if
asking you because I need to know my numbers too. That's why I'm
Yeah, you're
asking
on zero
you.
this year. I've got it already.
I know
Race is
that,
on.
Yeah.
Race is on.
ever
That's
since
right.
I
That's me next
started
week.
watching my numbers, because I always didn't at the beginning, I didn't. And because I didn't think I was going to sell that much way back when I started. So I never really kept track of it. But I did realize that if I do keep track of it, I'll hit it. But if I don't keep track of it, I mean, it's like going somewhere without a map. If you don't know where you're going, you're not going to get there.
Sandy, what do you mean by numbers exactly? Like just how many
How
transactions
many
or
houses I wanted to sell, or the volume I wanted to sell, or
just, yeah, so
yeah.
where you are to goal kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't have anything fancy to put it with, but I do look on the reports and command often, as the year gets going, quarterly.
So one thing I tracked, Sandy, last year that I didn't track the years before was how many listing appointments I went on. And I thought I went on way more than I actually did. And so when I went back and I didn't have a great year last year. And I went back and I only went on 16 listing appointments last year. I secured 11 of them, and then 2 of them are for this year. That will hopefully 13 out of 16. So I think my closing ratio was good, but I didn't set enough appointments. I wanted to, this year I want to sell, list 20 homes. So what's my conversion ratio on that? About 80%, 82%. So I need to go on 25 appointments this year. So that was very helpful for me this year to track I didn't track my buyers, but I tracked my listings this year. It was very simple with my questionnaire because I just went back and counted my questionnaires.
Something else that I started for 2026 was I got 2 screens. If you noticed, I didn't know which screen I was on for a minute, but so I'm learning it. But I used to use 2 screens and loved it. And then when I got into real estate, I only used my laptop. So then I thought, why did I stop? Because you can really knock out some work. And yesterday, all this week so far, I have did mounds over what I did in 2025 when I sat down to work because I can do it quicker. Yeah, I can't hear you. Yeah,
Sorry, I was looking for something.
Joanna had something, Jake.
Joanna's
I
still
think
muted.
Unmute. Can you hear me? Can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you can hear me now. Okay, so Sandy, like what kind of things are you talking about with a double screen? Like what do you do faster or better?
different. So when I'm doing the DTD2 and I'm looking through my database, I can quickly have Realist open on the other screen so I can look to see if they've moved or not instead of fumbling back and forth on tabs.
Okay.
And I got so much done yesterday. I was like, wow, it's pretty amazing how much work you can do
Interesting.
that way.
Okay.
None of them moved, by the way, which is a good thing. That's always, if you don't do your DTD2, work your database or that golden triangle Lonnie has, you will find, yeah, you will find that you'll be going through, you sold in a house and you go back to look and they moved and you're like, That there's nothing more irritating than finding out they moved on you. Or Nanette and I were doing door knocking one time, and I was going to drop something off at a past client, and I turned the corner, and she has a for sale sign in her yard, and it wasn't mine. So those things, they'll get you, but it'll also tell you stay in your database like daily, keep in it after it. Because they'll move on you. It's not because they don't like you, it's because you weren't there when they needed you. So
What'd you say, Lonnie, on those leads that you bought? Out of 9 of them that didn't do business the first year, like 7 of the 9 did business in the next 2 and 3 years?
Yeah, I was looking at that again yesterday. Yeah, say there was either 9 or 10 deals that worked of the 12, and 2 were right away. And then I think year 2 there were 3. Year 3 there were 2, and then beyond that there were 2 more, something like that. So it was just here's these 12 leads that came in that performed at a high level. I mean, I think it was 9 of the 12. That's outstanding, right? But if you look at it as which ones performed immediately, it's not all that great. But whoever had the the wherewithal to stay on those leads and work those leads, got paid. But many of them were getting paid in year 2 or year 3.
So, Jake, your question was, what mistake did you make? I made a lot of mistakes, but one big one, I was when I was having a slower time, I got a phone call from, a listing, whatever, referral thing. And I just thought, hey, I'm going to do this and get some leads sent to me that, they're ready to buy, whatever. So it was $5,000 that I had to pay up front. And they were going to send me these leads. And basically they were from Zillow, and they were for sale by owners, and they were expired. And trying to chase people that I don't know, and in an area, yeah, it just, I just thought, what am I doing? This is stupid. I have such a big database of people that already know me and like me, and I just need to stick with what I'm doing because
working.
just call people in your database. That's all. Just call them, and just 10 calls a day or whatever. And I thought, I'm not going to waste my money on, I mean, I was calling people on Zillow before myself, like for sale by owners, but those are hard people to, it's not hard, but I would rather work with people I know. And I thought it was a good lesson learned. So,
Joanna, you're not alone there on doing things like that. Lonnie will raise his hand to this. I will raise my hand to this. Most everybody in here will raise their hand. And what I would just express to everybody on this call, before you start buying leads, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's a great process and it can be very beneficial to your business. But before you do that, have you exhausted all of your database? Have you religiously contacted them every quarter? And have you continue to ask them who they know that may be looking to buy or sell? Ask for referrals. Be very good at asking for referrals and talking to them and consulting with them on their property at the same time. If you've done all those things and then you're like, man, I need more, that's when you would look to go buy leads at that point. But until you exhaust your own database, I recommend do not buy leads yet. Because I would spend $5,000 on what? Joanna, what else would you spend $5,000 on in your business? There's a lot of marketing we could do to our own database. Awesome client appreciation party for your top people. Like there's some really cool stuff we could do for 5,000. And I say that because I'm looking in the mirror on this deal too. We've spent money on talking to myself, dumb stuff. And I'm like, okay, what do we need to do? Let's focus on the people that we do know first.
Yeah.
That segues perfect into my next thing. Again, I'm a numbers nerd, so I apologize, everyone.
You're welcome.
Everything I ever say, it's probably going to be nerdy and whatever, but it's good stuff. So the economic model, it says, it talks about spending a certain amount on lead gen and things like that. Just like you were saying, spending the $5,000 on buying leads. So the other day I was messing with ChatGPT and I said, all right, if I sold 5 houses last year and I want to sell 10 houses this year and I have $5,000 budget, what would be the strategy? The budget model. Thank you, Brady. What would be the strategy to spend my $5,000? and it kicked out. It said you do $2,000 on Google ads, $1,500 on our sphere of influence touches, $750 on Facebook, $750 on database and follow-up systems. It says what not to spend money on is $5,000 if you only had $5,000 to spend on Zillow or Realtor.com. Big Facebook leads, expensive CRMs, branding without a conversion tracking. Those are only for $20,000 plus budgets, not for a $5,000 budget. So I was going to see if anybody had a specific budget or a specific income that they want to make this year, and the lead gen budget to back it up. And kind of how I thought this was if I spend zero money on marketing and lead genning and things like that, how many houses would I sell? Let's say if I sell 20 houses and I spent $0 and 10 or 20 is my floor and I want to get an additional 10, then that's what I looked at the budget model for. If I want to make an additional $100,000, how much money should I spend to make that additional 100,000? Because if I want to make 300,000, but I can make 200,000 without spending any money, then the math didn't add up. So I was just doing it on the difference, if that makes sense. Did that track with everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it or not, but that's just kind of how it made sense in my mind. But does anybody have any specific, like, hey, this third year in a row that I've sold 10 houses, I really want to sell 15, anything like that, and a plan with their lead gen money to do that? Come on, guys, it's January. We're supposed to get all this done last month.
Okay, I'm not a pro on this, but I'll just say, I know Lonnie always talks about your database, and really, it's the cheapest thing you can do, and just get on the phone and call and make 10 calls a day, and just because you'll have conversations with people and it'll come up.
Mhm.
And then I think, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Now, I don't know how to do Facebook ads, and I would like to know how to do that. I used to know how, but they kind of changed it in command. So that is something I'd like to do if we have a house that's listed or whatever. But really, I don't think spending a lot of money is necessary for lead gen. But that's just me.
I agree.
Well,
I think too, if this is the 5th year in a row where we say we're really going to hit our sphere of influences or our sphere this year, and we don't do it again, what's changing? Maybe if we spend some money on, like Ryan was saying, client appreciation, let's say we have $200 a month for lunches. Every month I have a budget of $200. I need to spend that taking people out to lunch, things like that. Not so much buying leads, but touching your sphere of influence as well. Versus just at the beginning of the year, I'm going to call my sphere more. And then heck, we probably haven't done that yet. And it's the 8th.
Well, I was listening to that MREA podcast that Brandy told us about. And it was kind of like what people are doing to be successful and what people aren't doing is kind of what I gathered from it. But MREA, those podcasts are how people are being successful with certain things. And they were kind of just telling us, do what we like. And that's how you can lead generate by doing what you like. So if you golf, for instance, put like 5 people in your database from it. If you like to have paint parties, just do what you like, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Or if you like to shop, go to the makeup counter. Those people are selling stuff. So, I mean, they buy things, they work. They could either 1, go in your downline, or 2, they might need a house. You can just so many ways to lead generate. Just do what you like. That's what the podcast was about.
Yeah, I think in the book Shift, I see your hand up, Tim. In that book Shift 2, they say leads without appointments is worthless. Like, do you want to go fishing or do you want to go catching? So I think sometimes I fall into this as well, where I'm like, hey, I went out and I networked with all these people. We talked about houses. I didn't get their phone number. I didn't set an appointment. I did nothing. I wasted my time. So I think sometimes we have to be more, we can do what we like, just be intentional about it. Sorry, Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. This was all great stuff. I want to back up just a little. There was a couple couple of shares in there that that triggered something for me. So when you were talking about buying leads, and Joanna shared some of her examples, and I'm the same way, Joanna. I did the same thing. Like I remember like 2 months in a row, I think I paid Zillow like $1,500. So it was like $3,000 that I paid them, and all these leads that I got, and I closed one deal out of it. And the commission that I got on it, it was like $100,000 house. So I was like, that, I mean, it was just like I got my money back, but nothing else. And then I followed up with these people for like 2 years, and they weren't even a fraction. And I know there are agents that crush it with Zillow leads, but it's just not the highest and best use of our dollars and of our ad spend and our budget. I think it was 3 years ago, I tried doing Jess Lenovo's coaching program, and it's very social media and Facebook based, but she is very direct up front. She's like, if you're not making $150,000 a year in gross commission income, my program is not for you. And I tried to like short circuit it. I was like, well, yeah, my GCI wasn't 150, but I'm just going to do it anyway because it's like I'm okay overspending like outside of the budget model. And Jess coached with me for a month and a half. And then she was like, hey, can I be real honest with you? And I was like, I mean, yeah, that's what I'm paying you for. And she's like, you're not ready for my program. Like you need to master the basics. Otherwise, my program's not really going to work for you because it builds on a business that has a foundation that's wide enough to handle what we're doing. And she was like, I'd love to take your money and I'll continue having our calls and our program, but you're not ready for me yet. And she was like, that's okay. She was like, I'll keep checking in with you. And I really appreciated that. And the reason I shared that is because there are no short circuits. there's no shortcuts in this business if you don't build the foundation, which is why Keller Williams model has been and still is and probably always will be, that we're prospecting based, marketing enhanced. Like if you just want to spend a crud load of money on marketing, great, but that's not the model and it's not the most profitable. And especially if you're a newer agent starting out, most of the agents that we see come in that starting out, they're not like, hey, so I have an $80,000 marketing budget. What do I do with it? They come in and they barely have the money to get their license and their dual career. And I mean, that was me, right? So it takes me back to the 6 personal perspectives, like self-mastery, then the 80-20 principle, then being entrepreneurial to purposeful, then being learning based, then removing limiting beliefs. Like you have to nail down self-mastery before you can do any of the other stuff. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm just encouraging you, like it really is stick to the model, stick to the model, stick to the model. Jake, you asked like what were some mistakes that you made, or what was a mistake in 25 that you could go back and do it over again? Even having Debbie as my business partner, she's phenomenal at what she does, and she adds a ton, and she's caused me to work my butt off and go back to some basics and get organized. And also, our partnership was premature per our business model. Like that was even outside of the model. Like I didn't need help. I didn't need a partner. My business wasn't ready for that yet. So, I mean, honestly, probably the mistake, Jake, that if I could go back and do it over again, 25, is that I would just stick to the model all year long and not deviate from it, because it does work. The plan does work. So yeah. This is all, you guys have all shared some phenomenal stuff. This is a great mastermind.
So I'll say, so this morning I was making phone calls and I made 9. And, there were some people that I didn't want to call because it's been a while. And I thought, do I call them? You know what? I called 9 people and I found out one person, her husband passed away in July, which I did not know. I called another person, she's retiring next month and they're planning to move in about a year. And I thought, wow, just make your phone calls into your database, find out what's going on in their life, send out cards, be present in, like, be a person that they can connect to. And I think that's my business model for this year is 10 phone calls a day, every day. That's it.
I have a question about that. This is a rookie question. Um, my database, and when I look at the people in it, everybody, with maybe a handful of exceptions, they're all at work every day, all day. And so when I call, it's an irritant to be like called at work. I was telling Ryan that at Bold. So I do more texting, and then I've done some like Saturday morning and evening follow-ups. But I don't know why when I hear people like Joanna talking, I'm like, who are you calling that's not at work during the day that would take a phone call in the middle of the day? I guess everybody I know is at work. So if they did answer, it would be very short, like, hey, I'm at work and I talk to you later. So I don't know. I haven't quite figured that out yet, I guess, or I don't
Well,
quite
one lady
understand that model.
one lady was 89, but the other lady was at work that
Yeah,
took my phone call, and we did probably have a 10-minute phone call. So I don't know. If you know they're in a job where it's real stressful and they can't take your call,
yeah,
I wouldn't call them during the day. But
I think most people won't. Am I on mute?
No, we can hear you.
Oh, I think most people, if they don't want to answer your call, they're not going to. They
right.
just won't take it, is the way
Right, which
I,
is part of, so then I don't
yeah.
get a hold of anybody. So then it's just, I'm like, should I
Then follow
be,
up with a
yeah,
card or something like that.
But
yeah,
I think it also depends on, I worked in corporate America, so people that are in my database, they can take calls.
oh,
I
mine
mean,
can too. They're all professionals, but they don't want to stop in the middle. Yeah,
well, I
most
mean,
of them are
my people
pretty
do.
high level, but
My
yeah.
people, they don't mind it a bit because they want to
Oh,
say
okay.
hi or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah,
I just think it
I was going
depends
to say
on,
that too, Chris. I'm like,
yeah,
I feel like everybody I called, they are
yeah,
at work and they're like, hey, what's
yeah,
happening, man? I'm like,
yeah,
what are you doing? Like, well, one
yeah,
guy I just called yesterday, he's a truck driver, but he's got his Bluetooth headset in and he was
yeah,
like, man, I got 80 miles to go. Oh, so
yeah.
what's going on? And, I'm like, oh gosh, I don't have 80 miles. So here's the
yeah.
4 minute version.
Yeah, and I also think that when you call people, you can tell if they're busy or if they're like, "Hey,
Oh, yeah,
I got 2 seconds,"
yeah,
cut the call short. Okay, call
yeah,
me in a week, or I'll call you next week, or whatever. I just wanted to say, "Hey,
yeah,
I think the
be
important
done."
thing too is to
Personally,
have
if
value.
I'm
If
busy, I just don't take the call.
yeah,
And then I call them after.
Well, if you're bringing value to them, I think that would be helpful.
Mhm.
Because if you call and waste 10 minutes of my day and you
right.
don't have any value, that'll piss me off. But if you call and
Yeah.
give me some value, then yeah, I'll take 10 minutes out of the day to
And I'm
talk.
probably projecting too, because I would be like, I don't know, I'm kind of a workaholic. I wouldn't have wanted in my previous life. I
Like
mean,
your quota.
I could have done anything I wanted, but I didn't like to chit chat in the middle of the day. It was an irritant to me. So I'm
Right.
probably just, yeah, projecting a little more too.
Hey,
But
I
Stacy.
think, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Stacy, you're not chit chatting. Jake said it. You're bringing value
yeah,
to the message. And so I take a
yeah,
page from Chris Voss and Nate does this too. Hey, Stacy, did I catch you at a bad time?
yeah,
No, no. Hey, I just need 2 minutes. The reason why I was calling you, I thought of you, and these are the two things I wanted to tell you today. I hope you're doing well. And then ask them if they have any real estate needs. Boom, you're on and off the phone call in a
yeah,
certain amount of time. You're making your calls, you're checking in with them, you're delivering value. And if you need to catch up with them, I'll give you a call at 4, whatever it is, like reschedule with them. But don't be on long. That's perfect not to be on long. You don't want to be on long.
You make more
no.
calls that way.
Well, I think the add value
Yeah, that's
probably is the
good.
piece that I
That's
keep
really good.
forgetting. Yeah,
Yeah,
That's part of what
bringing
rookies think.
something.
They bring value. Sorry, Tim. Yeah. They
No,
don't
no,
bring
you're good. Scott Toombs, he's one of my favorite bold coaches. Scott was like, "Hey, I mean, treat it like the love language, right? Like, don't love me the way you want to be loved. Love me the way that
right.
I want to be loved, and then I feel love from you.
Exactly.
So, you may not want to be called, but I mean, I promise you, if there's somebody in bold and it's their lead gen time, they want you to call them and interrupt them, so they don't have to make their calls.
Yeah,
Like, just think about who you're calling, and and may think about what might what might mean something to them. And
yeah,
bringing value always is the case. And I don't know what it's a Diana Kokoska line, right? Like, well, for Ryan to say that sounded really natural. For Ryan to be like, hey, did I catch you at a bad time? Okay, well, I just want 2 minutes, here's what I got for you. And I go, well, that's not really me. Right, it's not. That's what a professional real estate agent sounds like when they call. It doesn't sound like me.
hmm,
It sounds like a guy who's out there crushing it, making $500,000 a year. So if it is a mindset shift. I think I need to do 6 personal perspectives again. So if anybody wants to jump into that, I'm happy to host that or whatever, because it's all mindset. And that's really it's just my frame of mind around the calls that I'm making. And it might be timely since Brandy, since you're starting up the lead gen group, I'm happy to do that, or I could even do it online or whatever. I need to go through it again is why I say that.
I
They
think
always
Ronnie made
say
a point
they're
last
home,
year.
they're happy, and they're ready to list with you. Well, they could be at work and happy and ready to list with you.
I think
And
Lonnie
that's
said
a
something last year. You kind of have to work your way up to have the right to call them. If you haven't talked to somebody in 40 years, they saw you got your real estate license and then you call them 6 times that week, they're probably not going to answer your phone call and have a bad taste in your mouth. But if you text them, hey, congrats on the grandkid, beautiful, I hope all's doing well. And then 3 months later, you text them, happy birthday, I hope it's going great. Then you call them. I think that can be a good transition too. Because when people call me from high school, I haven't talked to in 30 years, I'm like, okay, what are they selling? What do they want?
Yeah.
Get to the
Yeah,
point.
what you don't want to do is call them and congratulate them on their new house that you didn't sell them.
Hysterical.
You
That's
overpaid.
terrible. Yeah.
You could
But
send them
it's
a
true. I
closing
do
gift.
it. I will do it.
You should ask them some weird random inspection question that nobody would know. Hey, did your realtor ask you about whatever? I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, that's a big deal.
Oh no, I just congratulate them.
All right, I've got I had another. All right, so any Hoosers, on the budget model, I believe, tell me if I'm wrong here, Tim. If you wanted to make an additional $100,000, sorry, he just messaged me. The the if you want to make an additional $100,000, and this is where I was thinking it didn't come from your sphere. It had to come from just in general. That they wanted you to spend like $22,000 in lead gen on that. That seemed kind of steep. So that would be about 16 sales because it'd be about $150,000 gross income. I don't know. Is anybody in here spending $20,000 a year on lead gen?
No.
I'm not.
No.
And there's a lot of us on this call that are making $100,000 or more.
No.
So that's what was confusing me about that budget model.
Well, there is the concept that wherever your business is, if you could be guaranteed, hey, I'm going to write $20,000 worth of checks, and I'm going to get $100,000 return on that, I'm going to sign up for that 5 times. I want to do that, and then I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do it again. If that could be assured. The reality is the return on investment is usually extremely low. Nothing against Zillow and all those, and we've implemented those over the years, and I see people having success with that. So, the reality is that, pat them on the back. Where we're at as an industry right now, what I believe is we are so freaking lazy as a group that we are way happy to write a big fat check and hope we get these leads from complete strangers. Okay, whether I call it Zillow, call it all the others that are out there. I'll write these people a check and hope there's a qualified lead coming my way, knowing it may or may not happen, versus pick up the damn phone and talk to people we already know. It's just bizarre to me. But again, it comes down to not wanting to do the work. I think our average agent, if we really talked about the amount of time they spend on their real estate business, they're making $100 an hour plus because they're not putting in any damn hours. Nathan, myself, Ryan, you guys didn't see the days we were in those offices at 9 and 9:30, 10 at the latest, and leaving at 5, 6, 6:30 year after year to put the foundation in to be able to do it however we want now. But everybody wants that shortcut. They want the fast answer. They want Chat GPT and all these other things to solve all their problems and lead them down the path. The reality is there's work involved. That's my take on it anyway. That's what I see just from my chair. And if somebody can do it, I recommend a blend. Your database and those touches and building a relationships, supplement that with these things that may or may not produce any good return on your money.
One of my very first mentors said something kind of like what you were saying. He said, if you want to boil a pot of water and you turn the heat on medium, it'll never boil. But if you turn it on hot, get it to boil, then you can turn it down to low and it'll boil until it's gone. So a lot of people see people with their pot already boiling and they've turned the heat down to low and they're like, well, I want to do that. But they didn't see how hard they had to work to get it to boil.
It takes
and I'll-
energy.
Oops,
Jake,
go ahead.
that's a heck of an analogy. And Lonnie, to your point, we're talking about Zillow. Guys, I don't want to scare you, but I want you to understand that there are teams out there that I know of that are spending $300,000, not a year, a month on Zillow leads. So let me ask you, if you're dropping $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month on Zillow leads, where do you think you fall on the spectrum of getting the best leads from Zillow, right? They understand how their business model works and they're going to get their best leads to their best clients. So not to push you out, but Zillow is doing just that. So be very cautious when you're buying leads and understand what you're getting and the quality that you're going to get. And the best thing you can do is like what Sandy does, what Joanna's doing, build that pipeline, and over the course of time, these people will come to fruition. It may take a year or 2 years, so what? But keep building that pipeline every day when you're making your phone calls, and eventually you'll have a full pipeline and you have that momentum. That water is going to be boiling, and then you can put the thing not on cruise control because you got to keep moving forward. You don't get to stop. You have to keep doing the thing, but you will have a successful business if you do just that. Just keep contacting your people.
What I was thinking of too, instead of buying leads, is say you have a $5,000 budget for this year. What if we rent out a nail salon and you invite all your female clients and say, hey, you get your nails done for free, and the roofing company is going to be a sponsor, and we'll have a couple other sponsors. You go around, but in order to get your nails done for free, you have to bring a friend, and she gets her nails done for free as well. You have 20 people show up with 20 new leads. I mean, I feel like those would be better than getting 20 Zillow leads. And then you do another, like something like that. I think instead of buying leads, we should have our marketing budget for the year and figure out how to maximize it. Like with our sphere client, how can we get good quality leads that we'll be able to follow up with and that we actually will follow up with? And for me, face to face, I feel like if I get in front of somebody, then it's done. So if I can figure out how to spend my money to get in front of people, like having client events and things like that, I feel like that would be very good for me. But
Well, that kind of goes along with what Jason Abrams' MREA podcast about doing what you love, lead genning by doing something that you already love, that it's not a drag for you to do it. And so, pour your money, your marketing dollars back into your sphere and the people that you like and that you want to hang out with doing things you like to do, instead of taking all that money and throwing it out in mailers and blanketing neighborhoods and farming, which is okay, but that's a hard way to go. And it takes a lot of time. But I like what you're saying, Jake. Rent out the nail salon, have people, come hang out with people while they're getting their nails done. You're probably going to see a quicker return and a better return off your dollars doing something like that. Play golf. I don't know how that works, but maybe you can host, golf fees, green fees, whatever that's called.
Well, heck, my mom started a Bible study in her neighborhood. She knocked on the door, said, hey, I'm starting a Bible study in my basement. You guys want to come on Wednesdays? She has, what do you have, a dozen ladies that show up? And the Bible studies are probably less than $50. And now you have a dozen people that you can network with and that will probably use you as the realtor, because it could be anything. It
literally could be anything. It literally could be anything.
I feel like we get in the trap. We're like, okay, well, how do we buy more leads and go versus thinking of these more creative ideas?
And also working our database we already have. So if you want to make more money and you haven't been doing your database, work your database.
Well, that's what I was saying
too.
You don't have to
spend any more money.
Spend the money on your database instead of spending the money growing your database. Well,
that's the best place to start, because they got in there somehow. I had one yesterday that I did find. I didn't follow up with them. So remember the fortunes and the follow-up? They were a Facebook ad from a listing, and they inserted into my database all by themselves. They do. And it tells you that's how they got there. Well, on Realist, on my other screen, I looked, and sure enough, they bought a house 6 months later.
Yeah.
So I didn't follow up with them after the initial.
Well, kind of to go back to what we talked about at team meeting on Tuesday about developing your systems, I would wonder, before you take money and go buy leads or some sort of system that's going to bring you more business, I would ask, have I done a good job with my sphere already? Am I already putting enough time, effort, and energy? Have I developed the systems to give that database in my sphere the best shot? Because I would guess we've done it probably half-heartedly, sporadically, decided this doesn't work. I obviously need something else. Let's go buy leads. Let's go do something different. And so without giving your database a fair shot before we quit and we give up, it's time on task over time. Lonnie says it every week. That, you know, this is what we've got to do. And if we're not doing it, then how do we know it's not working? So come to a focus group. This is kind of the stuff we're going to do. We're going to, I mean, it's going to be two sessions a week at an hour and a half a time. This isn't, you know, this is just some structure to get you started. I'm going to make it as easy as possible. I'm going to come every day with an agenda. Today, we're going to call these people. Here's a script. Let's role play it real quick. Now break to call for an hour. You're going to make calls for 1 hour. And if you want some direction, if you want some help, if you want some camaraderie while you call, let's do this together. So we're starting today at 11. Now, if you can't make it today at 11, that's okay. Just be watching for the next couple of days. Today's just kind of an intro meeting anyway, so you're not missing out. But this is going to give us some direction. Let's do this together. We're at the beginning of the year. Why not? So join us.
I would say the people that the focus group, if they're focused, you know, 2 times a week, 90 minutes, whether it's calls, text, emails, whatever you're going to structure there. I'll put really people that are talented, focusing and truly working that period. I'll put that up against $1,000 to $2,000 a month Zillow buy all day long. You put, let's just use Ryan. Sorry, Ryan. Put Ryan in that room for 90 minutes twice a week in his database. The leads he'll come out of versus spending $2,000 a month at Zillow, he'll kick their ass every single time.
Like a caged
animal. He's at a point in his life, you may not have to do that. Same here. But Tim Crable, I just go on and on. Who's going to do that? So save yourself $2,000 a month and create a system of activity that will provide results. It may not the first week. Oh no, I got nothing. You know, one of those kind of, yes, you did. You advance the relationships, and some of them at the bottom of the pyramid really need help. So we got to just start moving that. I would love for your group, Brandy, in your 90 minutes at the end, maybe even have a tally and say how many actual calls did we get made? How many text touches did we make? How many maybe email touches? Did we set any appointments, or did we, you know, anything? And if you didn't, so be it. It's all about the touches that you're making. You're moving the ball down the field, whether it's, you know, really quickly or slowly. I'll take either. Either is movement.
ChatGPT says it's about 7 to 14 closings a year if you lead gen for that amount of time, additional on top of what you normally do.
$63,000 to 7 in our office, right?
Yep.
It's 9 times 7. Yeah, something like that.
I got one more question for you guys. This came up not too long ago for me. I had 6 months worth of data. Everything says it's a $300,000 house. Right at, I mean, it's just textbook. Everything's right in 195 to 305. It's right in the middle, 300. The Tuesday, say we were going to go live Thursday. The Tuesday before I listed, house across the street has a bad agent, underpriced it at 285. What do you do? Do you still list at 300 or?
What do you do? I'm suffering through that in Raytown right now.
Well, your data wasn't developed based on any one sale, right?
Correct.
You don't know the circumstances of that house across the street. If it's truly priced low, it probably will just pop immediately anyway and be off the market. It won't matter because the buyer can only buy what's on the shelf. That'll be off the shelf very quickly. But there may be more behind, you know, there could be motivation beyond where people are just like, you know, you give them the range and they're like, let's go to the bottom of the range. We're getting divorced. I just want the hell out of Dodge, right? So we don't know all the circumstances. I never let one piece of data ever sway me. Again, look at the bulk of the data, knowing there can always be outliers to both sides, the low and the high. Unfortunately, every once in a while, a seller crushes it on the high side, makes no sense, and then everybody tries to chase that number, and we'll all find out they're not going to get it over time.
Yeah, I've had it come up where there's always been those outliers, but it was rare that it was like right as soon as I priced mine, they had their price, and I was like, well, crap, like we're going on a week after them. And that's kind of what I told my people. I said, we just don't know the situation. It's probably whatever. But then there's 6 houses pending at 305, 300, 299, and then the 285 sat for a week.
Did you have it different than if something came on at 330? You know, you're like, okay, we've done our research. Here's our range. What do you want to do?
Jake, have you toured that house yet?
No, it was occupied, and then it went under contract. It was, I think, the week of Christmas it came up, and so then when I went to go view it, it was under contract, so I didn't look at it. Yeah, I was planning to do that.
Bummer.
See if it
I
was
was going
dirty.
to say it could have had a smell, and that's why they had to price it to make it move. You know what I mean? Like you just don't know until you're in there, and then you're like, oh, that's why. And darn, that's a bust. Okay, sorry, that was just my quick question.
And keep in mind, there is a strategy, and this may or may not be the one here, but especially if it comes in really low, some people will, you know, so they get immediate multiple offers right out of the gate. And chances are the 285 is 295 anyway, right? So we don't know where that landed yet, do we, Jake?
No, it just says pending.
Yeah. So we don't know unless it happened to be somebody in the office. By the way, a local property is never a bad idea if you really want some information. Not a bad idea to pop it on our Facebook page and say, is anybody on this house by any chance? You might, every once in a while you'll get it, especially local stuff. It's high probability it's one of our people.
Yeah. Cool.
I
That's all I
have
had.
a-
Anybody have questions?
I have a very quick question. Back to the large investors who have purchased thousands and thousands of homes per portfolio. When they do start, I mean, we've already seen it where they are slowly starting to sell them off. Are your buyers more cautious with purchasing those homes? Because I know I've shown some, and it's like First Key Homes, which I serviced their loans when I worked for PNC Bank, and they don't fill out like any disclosures, and the house wasn't taken care of because it was rented. So my people aren't buying those homes. They tend to skip them. They won't even go look at them if they're owned by one of those companies sometimes, just because we know the condition. But I just wondered what will we do when they do? I'm so sorry. Kenzie's home today sick. What will we do if more do come on the market and they aren't in the best of shape? How do you guys all plan on helping our buyers be protected the most?
Even though those institutional companies try and make you believe that it's an as-is sale, you still very much have the right to the inspection period. And my experience is if it's a reasonable request, they'll address it through compensating for it, which is my preferred method, or they'll have people out to fix things that are legitimate issues. So I would just say be diligent with the inspection process, and you can negotiate with them. They set out ranges of what they're willing to accept, and they always have a asking price that's high on that range. So just that's my recommendation.
I agree with Nathan. I would much rather get paid for it versus ask them to fix it, because their fixes usually are not how I would like it fixed.
Yeah, I think the institutional, if they ever become sellers, they'll either have to adjust their price if they're not going to bring it to the condition. Again, they're competing with other sellers, right? So they'll either have to adjust in price and or get their condition comparable with the other homes that are selling in a particular price range. I personally, if I had a buyer, I wouldn't shy away from one of their properties as long as I have the right to inspect.
I think the properties I have listed down on Bradley's Crossing are a great opportunity for our buyers. Those were all built between 2020 and 2022. And as the institutional renters move out, I think that little neighborhood is going to have a nice little bump in value a few years down the road. So if you got any first-time home buyers or people looking, I think that there's a rare opportunity for those listings down there.
What kind of condition are they in, Nate? They're in pretty nice condition, aren't they?
Yeah, some are better than others. Some have, like Shelby was saying, you can't smell a picture, but the like there's one on Northridge that's super clean. But they must have had really good tenants in there. Backs to a pond, corner lot. I think that's a great one that should go really fast, and it hadn't gone yet. But some of them need carpet replaced, things like that. But they're brand new houses, new windows, new HVAC, new roofs. They're good, solid houses.
Awesome. Well, it's 11:01. Anybody else have anything else before we hop off?
Thank you, Jake.
Thanks, Jake. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Great call, guys.
All right, go sell something.